Hello, and welcome to the Proactive Caregiving Podcast. As a CPA with over 20 years as an industry accountant, Jessica stepped away from the corporate world to become a full-time caregiver for her mother. Having learned invaluable lessons along the way, she is now here to share those with you and to invite you to join her on this caregiver's journey. Here is your host, Jessica Cannon.
Hi, everybody. I'm here today with an awesome guest. You're going to love this. His name is Bennie Moore, and Bennie is a certified personal trainer. This is something that I really think you're going to benefit from because when we talk in terms of self-care, all kinds of things come to mind. And this is one of the areas that I want you to focus on when you hear the word self-care. Remember self, yourself. You need this care nutritionally and fitness-wise. So this is why today I wanted to focus in with Bennie a little bit more because, and I'll let him go into the details shortly. I want you to hear this from the caregiver's perspective, and you can even hear this in regards to the care recipient, your loved one. So keep that in mind. And on that note, good afternoon, Bennie. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So one of the things I thought was incredible about your program is that you seem to take the opposite start by starting with seniors rather than the young fit. How did you become inspired to take that route?
Well, first of all, thank you. Well, when I was living in Austin, I used to work at a medical facility, and this particular facility catered to seniors and nothing but seniors. And we had a physical education program for them, and I was in charge of setting up the groundwork for those seniors when they came in like once or twice a week. And some of these seniors were a bit deconditioned. Some of them were unable to walk, and some of them had very bad range of motion. They were just in pretty bad shape. So when I would see them, my heart would like spill over for them, and I would always think in my mind, I wish there was something that I could do to have helped them before they got to a place where they weren't able to operate on a functional level. And I remember being good friends with one of the receptionists at the facility, and I would tell her, man, I wish that I could help them before they got to this place. And she was the one that actually gave me the idea. She was like, you're like insane, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, well, don't you train every day? And I'm like, yeah. She said, well, don't you like live a healthy lifestyle? And I was like, yeah, but how does it have to do with helping them? And then she made this dumb look, and I was like, oh. So it hit me that if I were able to give them some type of training or some type of physical regimen along the way, then perhaps if they got older, it would ease the pain of not being able to do this or not being able to do that because they've been doing it for so long. So that was what inspired me, like just seeing seniors who had reached a level of decondition and not been able to do anything about it until it was a little too late.
Right. And that's unfortunate. And that's the sad part is that we don't see it until it's too late. And when you see people who struggle to stand, even sometimes struggle to stay seated and have that core strength,
definitely,
you don't realize it until it's too late.
Exactly. And I thought that if I could give them something to just work toward, it would help them in the later part of their lives. And that was the origin of B.MooreFit. That was who I catered to before I trained children or even young adults. So the seniors were the ones who grabbed my heart first.
So you started to train with the seniors, and it sounds like not only were the seniors being able to receive a benefit from this, but the children of these seniors were also seeing a benefit and reaching out to you as well.
Definitely. The inspiration kind of trickled backwards. When I was dealing with seniors, the children of the seniors would come to me and they'd say, hey, my mother and father are so much more active now. They have such a better range of motion now. They have a higher level of energy now. I love what you're doing for them. can you do it for me too? And so I'm like, well, sure. So, you develop a program that's a little bit more advanced than the seniors, that has a little bit a different pace of activity than the seniors. And they get involved with that activity, and they, start to have a higher energy level and start to live a little bit more active life. And the children of the parents see what's happening, and they want to get involved. So the children's story is a complete different side of it. But as far as the seniors were concerned, the children of those seniors saw it, and they wanted to be involved in it well. So slowly, the program started to expand and reach different audiences.
That's so awesome, because you go from the backwards approach, but it's just as strong and impactful going from the senior to the adult to the child. And that, to me, that's what begins that cultural shift, teaching our children.
Definitely. I used to always tell people that I train the 3 stages of life, whether it be infant to young adult to senior. And in this case, it was just backwards, but we were still able to reach the 3 stages of life.
Well, things happen for a reason. It was perfect that you started out in the facility to get that perspective and work with the rest. So how long have you been in this fitness industry overall?
Wow, that's a great question. So
time flies, doesn't it?
When I moved to Austin, it was like 07, 08 of 2000. And I want to say that the first facility that I began to train at was around, I'm going to say 2010, 2009, somewhere in there, up into 2020. Right before the pandemic started, I was still teaching seniors. So for about 10 to 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's a long enough time period for you to understand. And you and your own physique is definitely, you're living by example. You're showing people,
oh, definitely.
You put effort in, you're going to get this, maybe not exact same results that you have, but you put the effort in. And I definitely like the mentality as if to go against garbage in, garbage out. So you change it up.
Exactly.
You put in what you want to get out of it. So
yeah, I tell them all the time, I would never ask you to do anything I'm not willing to do myself. So
Yeah. And that's, a little bit of encouragement goes a long way. And when you see someone else doing it, and especially when you make the attempt to do it and then you start feeling the results, you're like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I can push myself a little bit more and a little bit more. And before you know it, you're in this new lifestyle regimen.
Exactly. It's just that easy.
And it is. And even so, when we think about our seniors and they get to the point where maybe they did some of these things earlier in life and they just gradually, their life changed. Retirement maybe wasn't what they expected it to, or maybe they had some sort of illness that created more of a sedentary life. And I know one of the programs that you actually have is called Sit and Fit. How does that work for the seniors?
Well, I wanted to have a different approach to seniors, and I wanted to let them know that just because you see the guys with the heavy weights and everyone jumping around and people like moving at fast pace, that's their level of fitness. I said, but you could also have your level of fitness. And so I didn't want anyone to shy away for fear of not being able to keep up or not being able to just perform the duties. So what I did was I said, well, we'll do everything seated. And we try and get a nice tempo going to where it's just like a nice little march, you go 1, 2, left, right. And I get them to move in their lower body. And then in the process, I add some bicep curls while they're doing the lower body exercises simultaneously. And then we may add some shoulder presses or even some shoulder lifts. So your whole body is moving while you're doing these exercises. And you do that for a period of like 60 seconds or even 120 seconds. And you're like, whoa, okay, now I can feel my heart rate increase. And that's what I want to get over to the seniors, that the increasing of the heart rate and the rushing of the blood is what helps us along our way. So I wanted to develop something that I thought would be stimulating, but not so overwhelming to the seniors where they would shy away from it. So everything that we do seated, and we just called it Sit and Fit.
That's awesome, because that's one of the concepts that it was for me, as my mother was home with me. It was really hard to encourage her and help her do some sort of form of exercise because she was so sedentary that just standing up was an effort, was a complete effort. And then once she stood up, that circulation was just so poor that she would get dizzy right away. And it was, that little bit of difference of the moving the arms and the legs and getting some circulation going, you don't realize how much of a difference it makes until you start saying, I'm feeling better. There's some more color to their skin.
Exactly.
The blood is flowing the way it should.
Exactly. I mean, it gives you the same type of stimulation as maybe a stand-up aerobic class, and even the same stimulation of lifting weights. What you're doing is just increasing your heart rate, and you're becoming very mobile. And to be completely honest, that's all fitness is, So when you give them something that they feel they can do and they can perfect and become better at, they become encouraged, and then they tell like-minded seniors around them, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is why my levels of energy have increased. Why don't you come out and join us? And so it got to a point where there was 50 or 60 seniors at one point in time in one room. And it develops a level of camaraderie. One of the things that has also been an inspiration to me when working with seniors is that there's a scene from Rocky, and I can't remember which one. I want to say it's part. Okay, we've had a lot of Rockies, but just choose one. This is the one with Mickey, and Mickey's having a deep conversation with Rocky, and Mickey, and this is definitely a paraphrase, he's basically saying that the body is smarter than we think. When you feel that you're unwanted, when you're unneeded, or that you can't push forward, the body itself starts to slow down and say, well, why am I even existing? Why am I even going forward? Because I don't have a reason. But when you give a person hope, when you give them courage, when you give them strength, then that reason increases, that love for tomorrow increases, therefore increasing the longevity of their own livelihood. So that was one of the things that really inspired me about working with seniors, because the simple fact of them looking forward to that day. Oh, Bennie's going to be here. Oh, we're going to do Sit and Fit. And they would go to the residents and they say, hey, are you going to be ready for Sit and Fit? And it would be like a big deal. Right. And it may not seem like much to someone who has the executive spot at the top of the ladder or whatever. But for someone who is, who may have even lost hope, it gives them hope. And so I couldn't cancel on them. I could be like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I've done so much, but I could not cancel on them because I knew that it was important to them. So that was definitely one of the inspiring parts, just inspiring them.
Well, it sounds like you became a lifeline for them. And this form of exercise.
And likewise.
Yeah.
Vice versa,
exactly. And that's the thing is we feed into each other, and it's, it replaces, maybe the biggest thing they had to look forward to might have been bingo that day, but now they're looking forward to a little bit of exertion, because, one of the things that I think people forget is, yes, we do the exercise for managing our weight, but part of that exercise, when you talk about how they have hope and they have a purpose all of a sudden, it's that exercise in itself releases those endorphins. And
definitely.
And you don't realize, and it's not just the blood circulation, it's a combination of all of this happening, and you feel good, and then you want to continue to feel good, and you want to keep this kind of positive life high going.
Exactly. So true. And that was what I grabbed from all of that. And like I said, it does swing both ways. I mean, when you feel the life from them, you feel the life that you're giving to them, it definitely comes back to you. So definitely.
Yeah, I have to admit, the times that I was able to get Mom to go for a walk, and we can, eat, some days it was just a grocery store, and other days it was around the block, and seeing the color return to her skin, and seeing her breathing in a less labored way, and just noticing the conversation was flowing just a little bit more than it had we not walked at all. those are big
Right.
changes. And it made me feel good because it was like, wow, I helped her do that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So we totally feed. And so when we think about that, the sit and fit is something that caregivers can do with their loved ones at home, even.
Oh, most definitely. That was another thing that we decided to try and do earlier on, even before the pandemic, was to do something virtually that you could do at home. If you
Exactly.
have the program, you know exactly. I try to say that the program starts off like a train. When a locomotive goes, it starts off slow, and all of a sudden it's at top speed, but it doesn't
Right.
start off at top speed. So we start off with something very, very simple like marching in place or marching while you're seated. And for those that are a little bit more advanced, you can either grab 2 water bottles or two 2-pound weights, whatever your fitness level is, and you just find a cadence. You find a tempo. And once you get that tempo, then you add in different activities. So the first part of it was to march in place. And we will march in place for just forget 30, 40 seconds. And once we're marching in place, we add the arms to the same movement as the right and left of your legs. So now we have all of our body parts moving. And then we'll maybe speed up the pace. So it may go from 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You speed up the pace, and each time that we complete a set, the next set would become a little bit more faster. And it's all determined by the activity level of the seniors, of course. But for someone who was able to like just only do level 1 to continue the program, and now they're up to like level 4 to where they can like go faster, it definitely helped increase that. So what we do is just speed up the pace from each set, and we add a different body part. Like I said, we go the marching in place, and then we do the bicep curls, and then we do a shoulder press, and then I would have them stand up and grab the back of their chairs, and then we do squats. So it would work the whole body. And once they got to a point where it was, like I said, they get stronger, they're able to do it with less fatigue. All fitness really is, if you look at it, is doing a series of activities and recovering from it. That determines your fitness level. Yeah. So once they got to a point where they're like, oh, I can do this for 30 minutes and not feel like I'm not going to make it tomorrow, they got stronger. So yeah, it all starts out with tempo. That's the most important part of any physical program.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it does take that someone helping and leading them, because I know myself, I personally jump in, I'll have one day of slow tempo and I feel really good, and the next day I go a little too much, a little too fast.
Right,
so
exactly.
I need an extra repair day.
Exactly. We're not really involved with a lot of activity, our body begins to, become sore from those movements because, hey, this is not something that we do normally. So what are you doing today? And the more you do the activity, the body adjusts. I like to tell people all the time, your body adjusts to your level of activity. So if you have become a couch potato, your body has perfected those moves. It knows exactly where the divot is in the couch. It knows exactly how to, lean back and find your comfort zone. But if you're moving, if your body's in motion, it tends to want to stay in motion. So
exactly.
I urge everyone, if it's just a walk around the block on a day-to-day basis, do something with your body.
Yes, definitely. Keep it moving, keep it in motion.
Exactly.
And on top of that, for that matter, when you move more frequently and more regularly, for me, when my body is at rest, I sleep better.
Exactly. Because you pushed it to a level of fatigue.
Right.
Your
mind, your body is physically exhausted and your mind is exhausted with it. So you can shut down and rest.
Exactly. And I mean, you have like uninterrupted rest at that point because now your body has to repair from the activity that you perform throughout the day. So it definitely helps overall.
I totally agree with that. And so the part of this workout, I know this may sound a little different, but the caregiver, as they're going through their day, may have moments where they are stressed, they're frustrated. They may not be able to step out and go for that walk either with their loved ones or by themselves. But one of the things I liked of the programs you have is a boxing program for all ages, because the first thing I thought of was that's an awesome way for caregivers to let off some steam.
Well, definitely. And thank you for that. When I was talking earlier about, training the seniors and then training the parents and then training the children, when you get to children, like, they want a little bit more stimulation there.
Right.
And you'd be surprised, a lot of children, because of the video game era that we're in, and, everyone just lives a in-home type of lifestyle, they're not as active as they were when I was a child. So it doesn't take much to stimulate them, but at the same time, they are visual creatures. They want to see and stimulate it visually as well as physically. So when I implemented the boxing for kids, it was cool. Like, everyone thought it was like just cool to, I've seen it done before on television. I've seen it done on action scenes, or I've seen it done on some of my fight simulating video games. To actually live like this character is even better. So tell me how do I do that? And you teach them the basics of boxing. There's only 3 punches in boxing. You have the cross, the uppercut, and the hook. Everything else is about getting out of the way. So when you teach them that, they tend to become a little bit more active with you, and they pay more attention to you because they want to be that superhero and emulate that video game hero that they've been playing for years. So they become a little bit more interested in it. And when I started doing it with seniors, one of the things that I learned, I used to train a lot of Parkinson patients. And studies show that when you are boxing, that it slows down the process of Parkinson's. And I've done some research on this because I was trying to find the connection of physical activity and Parkinson's, because, once you get later in the stages, it's very difficult to remain calm and to remain still. But for some particular reason, the punching and the movement of the legs and the concentration of hitting a set target actually slows down the process of Parkinson's. So once I started researching boxing and in correlation to Parkinson's, it made me want to venture deeper into the rabbit hole of working with seniors. So I went from just working with seniors at facilities to specific seniors who dealt with certain Parkinson's disease. And when I tell you that it honestly works, because of that punching, because of that movement, because of them focusing on a target and hitting that target, it helps slow down the process. I wish I could say that it cures it, but it doesn't. It really just slows the process down. But so boxing is like all around the board. It helps stimulate the children, the young adults, or the adults were enjoying it because it's a different activity other than like having weight-bearing exercises. Some people just don't like weights in general, but they want to be in shape.
Right.
Boxing does that for you because it's a total exercise. I tell people all the time, you can play football, you can play baseball, you can even play basketball. You don't play boxing.
Right.
So it's more one of those things that it's so adventurous. It's so uncalculated. It's not expected. You just have to really go into the flow and you have to feel it. So seniors, adults, and children were loving that because of those 3 things.
That's awesome. I love that because I'm not one, I've tried several times and I know my limitations now. Every time I add weights into my routine or I get too much weight into my routines, talk about an extra repair day, talk about sometimes an extra week of repair because the weights don't do it. But like you said, I want to be fit and tone and just be able to maintain muscle tone.
Definitely. Before there were even weights anywhere in the world, people use their body. We got push-ups, we got set-ups, we have squats. All this is just body weight, and that's all boxing is. It's your body. It's moving your body. It's being on your toes. It's moving your legs around. It's ducking to squat. It's extending your arms to punch. It's exerting force through that contact. It's a full body workout, and it's definitely something that I recommend to someone who may have issues with weights. It's still stimulating.
Definitely, because when you think about time, how much time do we have in our days, in our weeks? How do we incorporate something? And I try and find things that I can do in 30-minute increments or 45-minute increments, just so I'm not spending 2 hours in a gym or 2 hours outdoors somewhere. Sometimes I would like to go to the pool and do some laps for an hour and a half or more, but those small increment, those little bursts of energy, because
Exactly.
that's what helps. And then you take that energy into your day and you're able to function more.
Definitely. Oh, most definitely. And like you said, those increments are what really, that's all boxing is. Like a heavyweight bout lasts 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Like one
True.
round is 3 minutes. You have 1 minute of recovery time. So if you're boxing for 30 minutes, that is an enormous exercise. You can listen to professional boxers that tell you 30 minutes of boxing is like 10 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time.
Wow.
So it's definitely going to allow your body to adjust to your level of activity, increase your cardio and your strength, and definitely just be a overall better, you'll have a better performance level because of it.
You know, that makes so much sense hearing that now. Now I have a new way to look at my workout routines and even adjust towards them. And it also tells me too a little bit more about you and your motto. I absolutely love your motto. I can see when by doing this type of a workout, you definitely are going to feel stronger. You're going to feel more courageous. And so I love that your motto is be strong, be courageous, be more. But it's a perfect play on Be More for Bennie Moore. So how did that come to be? Because I feel like there's some sort of a personal story with that one.
Well, when I first decided about the motto, I wanted to be something that would be inspiring and give you, whoever the person was reading it, like some idea of the person that I am. And so when I break down my name, B, I just start off with the first 2 letters. And B, by definition, means to exist. Mm-hmm. It means to become. It means to do. And so when I say be strong, it means to exist strong, to live strong. When I say be courageous, it means to be honorable. It means to be honest. It means to be true. When I say be more, that's who I am, and that's who I would like to be perceived as, a person who's true, who's honest, who's going to fight when you can't fight, who will fight for you because you can't fight for yourself. I want it to be something that just rang through the halls. I know it may sound, kind of corny to anyone else, but
not at all.
I've always wanted to just be that person that could stand up for the person that could not be. And I wanted that person that felt like he could not be, that he could be, if only he believed in himself, if only he would just be. So when I say be strong, be courageous, be more, that all starts with a person inside of us that exists already, whether it be inspired by a grandfather or a father or a mother. Someone along your livelihood told you that you were an amazing person and that you had to believe in yourself, believe in yourself. So whenever I say that motto, I mean that from my spirit. I want people to understand that they can do all of these great things that they see other people do as long as they be strong, be courageous, be more.
Absolutely. I
sound like a commercial.
No, it is very inspirational because I'm sure that's what happens when you have your seniors in the group. Where you grew to 50 or 60 in a group. I'm sure
Definitely.
That's what happens. They see others doing it and they believe in that person doing it. They want to do it themselves. And then as they are able to do it, they believe even more.
Exactly.
I can see it.
Definitely.
I can do it. I can become it.
Exactly.
And so you move that stereotype, you remove all of the things that hold us back. And, in some areas, the workout can be that emotional therapy when you work through that negativity.
Easily.
And that's why I was thinking that the boxing is not just that intense workout, but if there is something emotionally, you're physically working your body, but you're also emotionally working your body.
Definitely. Oh, most definitely. They are one in one, or one. They go hand in hand. Whenever you think about like the mind and the body, I tell people all the time that the body will quit well before the mind quits. Mm-hmm. So if you strengthen your mind, it helps strengthen your body. There's been times when I've been training or running or jogging or whatever, and my body's like, oh God, I cannot go one more step. But my mind says, no, let's finish this lap. Let's finish this particular boxing set. Let's finish this rep. Let's finish this set. My mind tells me that I can do it, My body is fatigued. My body is weather beaten. My body feels heavy, but my mind is what keeps me pushing. It's what keeps me pushing through the pain. When you're in a ring and you're boxing an individual who's trying to take the best of you away from you, your body is tired of throwing those punches. Your legs are tired of sliding across the floor. It's your mind that keeps you going. So they have to be in tune with one another, and they have to communicate with one another effectively. So if your mind says, yes, you can do this, your body starts to believe. Even if you're like dead tired, your body believes what your mind tells you. And if they're in sync with one another, then there's nothing that they can't do together. The problem comes when your mind and body aren't in sync. Yes. And what exercise does, it helps sync your body. Like, you have the syncing of phones. Right. You plug them into one another and you give them time to communicate. That's the same thing with the mind and the body. The mind and body have to sync with one another. And once they do, you push yourself beyond those limits, but it starts with your mind.
I think that's what holds people back with their workout programs, and they look at it as less than what it can be or should be, and we get wrapped up, and I know I do sometimes. I get wrapped up into I need this now. I want the quick fix. I want the fast routine. I want to get ripped faster, and I end up doing more damage than I, if I just took my time with it and built up to it. But I think the disconnection, because I know I recently went through that, having that mind and body disconnect, and you get to a point where it's like everything feels like it's a mess, everything's falling apart, everything, it's all out of sync. How do I get it back into that in sync moment?
Exactly. Just by trying to do series of activities where I tell my clients all the time, oh, Benny, I've had a bad day today. The boss is on me. I have so many projects that are past due. And I say, for this hour that we're together, think of nothing but the workout itself. And when you're able to separate your day-to-day for just a little bit, it gives you that, it helps alleviate some of the stress. If you take that with you and all you think about is those missed deadlines or those upcoming deadlines that you're not prepared for, this presentation that you haven't even began the spreadsheet on, if you can separate your day-to-day for just a little bit and focus on the syncing of your mind and body, it makes those deadlines not seem that bad. It makes that presentation seem less difficult because now you can breathe. Now you can look at yourself and look at the situation a little differently because you stepped away from it. Now you're ready.
Right.
So exercise does that.
Yeah. I'm believing it more and more day by day as I get into more of a program because you are more productive.
Oh, most definitely.
You're more productive. You're healthier and you're feeling better. You're not just surviving the day. You're actually living through the day. You're getting energy. You're enjoying the day, and that pep in the step it just happens. It just comes about,
Exactly.
So as people are, I'm sure once they get through this conversation with us, I hope at this point I want to remind them that self-care, this type of exercise and this type of approach of keeping in mind, being strong, being courageous, that is part of our self-care. And this is how we approach it. And this is how we can make a difference in our own lives. Definitely. So as they go through this, Benny, how are they going to find Bennie Moore and his B.MooreFit program? Where do we find you?
That's a great question. The direction of the program has changed a bit because of, I don't know if you heard about it, but there's this pandemic out there right now. So I've actually taken the website down as of recently and tried to add some more different types of things that can stimulate the body with the virtual training, with the virtual boxing. So I normally can be found at the website, but until I get that back up, you definitely can reach me at my email address, and that's bennie.moore@B.MooreFit.com. And this is a mouthful, so I'm going to just try to give it to you the best way I can. It's Bennie, BENNIE .MOORE at B as in boy, E as in Edward, MOORE BMooreFit.com. I'm working on a condensed way of saying that, but that's right now. That's where we are. BMooreFit.com. Bennie at Moore, BMooreFit.com. I'm on Facebook under Bennie Moore. I'm on Facebook under B.MooreFit. And if anyone has any questions about just trying to, get started or wondering what type of activity they should be involved in based on their level, then I definitely can help. I have education through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I've been doing this for a very long period of time. I don't know everything, but I know a lot about a lot. So if I don't know the answer, I definitely know how to find it. So I'd love to help anyone who's on their venture and give them pointers just to become a better them.
Because you can also help them with their nutritional needs and help match that nutrition with their activity level and what type of program that works with them, right?
Definitely. I also have education in nutrition as well. So I could help you with a meal plan, what you should be eating for breakfast, what you should not be eating for breakfast, how many hours prior to your workout should you eat so you don't get sick. Just things that are helping with muscle gain, with weight loss, with cardio increasing, just different things that people have different goals for. I try to say that I could help you on whatever level you want to be on.
Well, and that's so beneficial. And let me tell you, once you go online and you see his Facebook page, you will see the results. This works. He is living proof that this works, especially when you give yourself the time and you stay consistent. And that's the key here, staying consistent with it. Yes.
Definitely. And that's a great point you just made. You can become good at anything if you do it over and over again. That's why I tell people all the time to be careful what you form a habit in doing, because you'll become good at it. So if you're trying to become good at fitness or exercising or weight training or cardiovascular, the more you do it, the more comfortable you are with it, and the higher levels you want to go once you've completed a certain level. So anything with cycling, you may start off on a regular bike, and now you have shoes that are glued to your pedals because this is what you do. Anyone that start with weight lifting, you may start off with just a bar, and now you're benching 315. It's all about consistency. It's all about movement. It's all about finding a way to do this same thing every day and making it happy or making it fun. So if you have goals, just remember consistency is key.
Definitely. And that consistency, it does become fun. And you have that moment, that item, that thing that you do that you look forward to.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on with us today, Bennie. I want to help others see that self-care comes in all kinds of packages, and this is absolutely a responsible and yet fun way of taking care of ourselves.
Definitely. Thank you guys for having me. I'm so happy to speak with you guys about this.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us today. I really am excited about you being able to hear this, and I'm kind of curious to see what kind of thoughts come out from this. So if you missed any other podcasts, you definitely can catch us back on jessicalizelcannon.com. Thanks, everybody. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us today. We really hope you've enjoyed this episode. To learn more about proactive caregiving and to hear other episodes of this podcast, please visit www.jessicalizelcannon.com. This podcast is produced by Cannon Light Media, LLC, www.cannonlightmedia.com. Music provided by Chris Paradise.